Hello viewers, welcome to Let Them Know. I know you can't see my full face because as you know we are having another wave of COVID-19, but welcome. This is Rose once again. We are so privileged to be leads once again in the house of a very powerful woman, and I'm just going to welcome her to introduce herself and then we'll take it on from there. Welcome, Marjorie.
Thank you very much, Rose. Thank you.
Okay, so tell us about your names, where you came from, why you came, when you came.
Yeah, my name is Marjorie, and Marjorie Horner. I came from the beautiful country called Philippines.
Yes.
And I came to UK in 1988. We got married in 1987.
Yes.
And my husband is called Tony, and he is from Leeds, England, and we met in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
And then that's the reason why I came here. So that was nearly 32 years ago.
Wow.
So yeah.
So what a history. You come from the Philippines, you met in Saudi Arabia, he's from Leeds, and now you are settled in
Exactly.
Leeds.
Can you imagine?
What a nice mix of everything.
Yeah, that's God.
Wonderful.
It is just because you don't plan those things, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think it's God's doing, but it's God's plan. So but yeah, my family is still back in Philippines.
Okay.
But my sister is also living in New York, but she's also a nurse in USA.
Right.
But I've been here and started working here really in 1989.
Wow.
Yeah.
1989, that's quite a number of years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1989. So I came here to do my because I came here because I got married.
Yes.
So of course my plan really is to work here.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I think I had to wait for my adaptation to come through because
Yes.
of visa, because when we came here it was like it was different before in 30 years ago. It's different.
Okay.
Because there's no it's nothing like you have to wait for the spouse visa. It was just I came as a visitor.
Wow.
And then it was so easy.
So it was so easy then.
It was so easy then. It wasn't
okay.
difficult. To get the visa, you don't even have to pay that much.
Wonderful.
So yeah, it was a blessing. So I came here and then I waited for my adaptation program.
Okay.
Because I wanted to work as a nurse. Yeah, here.
So you trained in the Philippines or did you train in Saudi Arabia?
No, I trained in the Philippines.
You trained in the Philippines, okay.
Yeah, I graduated. I finished my nursing in 1980.
Yes.
Yes, and then after 4 years of experience in the Philippines, I had to I went to Saudi to work. Yeah, to gain more experience.
Okay.
Overseas, and then after 2 to 3 years working in Saudi, came over to UK.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you came over, you did your adaptation program.
Yeah. Because at that time adaptation program. We know even from Saudi Arabia, because some of our nurses, like Kenyan nurses, they know about NMC, they know about the UK.
Yes.
But I wasn't really planning to come to UK until I got married, so I thought I was just going to work in Saudi and then go back home. And that was the plan really, in my mind. But God's plan is different. So
yes, of course.
So there you are. So then after a year of staying here, because we have to process my papers,
yes,
to become be able to study or work. Mm-hmm. From visitors you have to do indefinite leave to stay. Mm-hmm. So we had to wait for another year. So for me to be able to do that. So a year came in 1989. That's when I did my adaptation program.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was the only one in doing the adaptation program here. It wasn't like now that it's a group of people. When I came, I was the only one. Mm-hmm. With a group of British nurses. But I did not go through training. I was just put in the placement and do the practical type of thing.
Okay, so I remember when I came, this was early 2003. Mm-hmm. most of us went to nursing homes. Did you have to go to a nursing home
No.
or straight to an NHS hospital?
Yeah, I just went straight to the NHS because I think I just contacted the Leeds Teaching St. James's.
Okay.
And then I applied to NMC to get my PRN number. You know, you have to go through all of those things. So for you to be able to get your adaptation program. So from NMC, they're giving you a letter and suggested placement or hospital where you can do your placement. So one of the two of them, I think, is Manchester. It's only Leeds.
Yes.
So that was the reason why I came to Leeds.
Wow.
So, but it wasn't. There was no adaptation.
Wow.
Then there was no adaptation, but there was an adaptation program. But there was no adaptation then. You know, there was no overseas nurses coming. This was in 1989.
Yes.
So there was no overseas nurses then. So when I was doing my adaptation, I was included in the student nursing
adaptation program.
Not adaptation program, but I was included in the student nurses program.
Oh, right. Okay.
You understand? So
wow.
So it wasn't a separate program.
It was the same for all nurses at the time.
So it was because I only have to do the placement.
Yes.
No training.
Which was how long?
It's the same, you know, where you have to do 3 minimum.
Yes.
If you complete the competencies and then the 6 maximum.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the same, it hasn't changed.
Wow.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. And it was difficult, you know, it was a challenge because coming from Philippines to Saudi Arabia in terms of communication, it is a big challenge because you can imagine from Philippines to go to Saudi Arabia, I have to learn Arabic. So I have to learn Arabic
to be there.
To be there, to work there, to be able to look after patients, Saudi Arabians patients. Otherwise, they will not be able to understand. So we have to learn to speak Arabic, you know.
And write, of course.
No, we just do English is our care plan.
Yes.
But then, when we talk to the patients, we have to speak in Arabic.
That's interesting.
Yes, but our care plan is English. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're really an international nurse. So you are here now in England. You're doing English. You're talking about difficulty in communication. Was it verbal English? Was it, the spoken one? Was it the written one? Or what do you mean?
It's the spoken.
The spoken
you know, it's
one.
the confidence. It's not. We can speak English, but it's the confidence of speaking up.
Yes.
And being able to express yourself.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the difficulties.
Yes.
Because the words is different, you know, and there's colloquial words, there's words that they say and you don't understand.
Exactly.
And then how we pronounce our word is different because when we were in Philippines, we are taught in American English.
Wow.
So our English speaking is different from
here.
So any colloquial words is different from UK. So when I came over to UK, it was the confidence of speaking and conversing, you know. And I remember, because, you know, I have to think of my language and then Arabic and then came over here. So I have to translate. I have to now think, what am I going to say? This is what I'm going to say in my language. So I now have to translate it in English. So it was quite, you know, the challenge was difficult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you are on the ward. You are from the Philippines. You are in the English culture. How did patients receive you at that time?
I think the patient was really, you know, they were quite, they were quite positive.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, there was no. I didn't feel any negative attitude or anything like that, or any, because in myself, I don't even think in that way
about it.
So I don't even think about those things. So of course, whatever I receive, they're positive.
Wow.
So I never really had that experience during my adaptation program. What I had experienced in a challenge is that because of the communication, they believe that you cannot do, because at that time we have 3 assessments. I don't think they do it now.
No.
They had aseptic assessment,
Right.
administration assessment,
Wow.
and also management assessment. So
Okay.
in that 3 assessments, you must pass them. Otherwise, you are not going to be given the PIN number.
So you had a mentor?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a mentor because they expected you to be mentored by the staff nurses on the ward.
Yes.
Right? And you know that it's difficult when they're mentoring you from the ward because they're so busy.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're
Yes.
given that role to mentor you, but it's not enough because as an overseas nurse, you have that education back home and experience, but has a different. It's the same principle, but in
Yes.
practical, it's different.
It's different.
Right? So, like for example, back home is accepted to restrain a patient,
Yes.
right? But over here, it's not acceptable.
No.
So to transfer that education, the training that you have to here, and you don't really have that training in the beginning to understand all of those things. Majority of some nurses that didn't have the training made mistakes.
Wow.
Because it's not their fault. It's
Yeah.
just that the training was
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, the transitioning.
The transitioning.
Yes.
Because there was no further training. And that was the issue. But for me, it did not happen. But what it happened is that because of the communication gap or challenge that I
Yes.
had,
Yes.
they perceived that I will not be able to pass management assessment. So I passed everything, but because of the communication, they think that I will not be able to pass
Yes.
management. So they said to me, we don't think that you'll be able to pass the management, so we will just bring you down or demote you to a healthcare assistant.
Wow.
Now you have to be strong
Yes.
to be able to fight that because you know yourself
Yeah.
that you can do.
Yes.
But because there's not enough support,
Yeah.
you then the tendency is you go that way.
Yeah.
You
And the
accept.
perception is different.
Yeah, you accept to that perception, right? But because I am a person that I know myself that I can
Yes.
do, and I know that what is lacking, why I'm not able to pass. I could identify it. So then I had to now challenge the assistant chief nurse at that time, and can you imagine, very new in the country, and to be being able to challenge assistant chief nurse, it was tough. But I have to. This is why I'm saying you have to be strong to fight what you think is right.
Yes. Yes.
So I said, how can you say that I cannot pass a management assessment when you haven't even given me the opportunity to be supervised and to be assessed by someone? So I said, until you give me an assessment, I will not accept that I have failed.
Yes.
So that was my first challenge.
Wow.
And if I did not challenge that situation, then I will not be able to, because people just accept, don't
Yes. Yes.
they? I did not accept that, Rose, because I know myself that I can do it. When you've been supervisor in Saudi Arabia,
Yes.
you've done all of those things, and
Yes.
to come over here and say to you that because your communication, you cannot pass a management assessment, that's not right.
Wow.
You see, so I had to challenge, and then what happened? They gave me an assessment. They gave me a tutor to come to assess me, and that is good.
Management.
A management.
Yes.
Because I already passed the septic technique. I've done administration medicine,
Yes.
and the only thing that I have to do is management.
Yes.
So, but they're saying because of my communication, they don't think I'll be able to pass. So they gave me a tutor to assess me.
Yes.
And you know what? That was the day that God has given me everything. Because I said to the manager, I said, today is my day of my assessment.
Yes.
You please help me. And you know what he did? I can't remember his name now. You know what? I hope that it will come back. But I remember this guy, the charge nurse, that said, okay, because he interviewed me and everything. And he said, okay, so we're going to help you. So what did he do? He told even the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare assistant, everybody on the ward that Marjorie is going to have a management assessment. Will you help her?
Wow.
So that was a day.
That
and I passed.
Divine.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
So it was actually, that was a day of my, because if I just accepted whatever they said about me, you won't be. So that is why sometimes you have to know yourself. Not sometimes, but all the time. It's knowing yourself. What is your capable?
Yeah.
But you have to be able to do the work. Like for example, yes, I can do the management, but then you did not study.
Yes.
You see, and then you fail. So that is basically confirming that you are a failure.
Yes.
So basically what I'm saying is that if you say you can do, study, so that then when you have an assessment, you pass.
Yes.
It confirming whatever they're saying about you is wrong.
Wow.
You see.
Wow.
And that was I think it started from when I was young,
You were the only Filipino nurse or foreign nurse at that time?
Yes.
In the whole hospital?
Yes.
That was a big hurdle to
It
jump.
is, because there was no adaptation here before.
And there's no reference point for you to, think of or refer to.
No.
There's nobody to go to.
No.
It's you're the pioneer.
Yes. So remember, think about it. The nurses, the student nurses goes to university.
Yes.
And I never went to university, so I only see them in the hospital on the wall.
Wow.
And I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what this white paper. I don't know all this paper that they're talking. And I thought white paper is A4 paper.
Wow.
Have you read the white paper? I'm thinking, what is white paper?
What is white paper? Wow.
What is white paper?
Congratulations! I know it's many years down the line, but if I put
it's all
myself
coming.
in that situation, it was incredible what
It
you
was
did.
tough. Yeah.
A very strong spirit.
Yeah, I think that is, because I'm very prayerful.
Yes.
Prayerful. I'm always praying before I even go to work. I'm always saying. We have the nurses prayer, right? You have that little nurses prayer, and I always pray that one.
Yeah. Wonderful.
So yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's what the adaptation, and then what happened, because I was the only one. Remember, I was the only nurse.
Yes.
So in the professional development, there was oh my God, this is she was our head of the professional development, and she was so scary.
Wow.
I'm telling you, because she's but she's half Chinese and half Australian.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether she's half Chinese or, because she looks Asian.
Yes.
She was so scary, and everybody was scared of her. But you know what? When I passed the adaptation program, she was given a lot of the awards, who are willing to accept a newly qualified nurse. And guess what? Where she actually referred me to is the infectious diseases at Seacroft Hospital.
Wow.
Whom that infectious diseases that during that year is when HIV was on. Well, nobody wants to work in that infectious diseases. So I was given that post. So can you imagine? I don't even know about infection. I don't know about all of these things. I've never worked even in the Philippines, I've never worked in infectious diseases. So I was given that word.
Wow.
So, you know what? I went for an interview. They were just so lovely. I'm telling you, it was my first experience. And it was so nice. And that was it. That's where I started my work.
Wow.
They accepted me very well.
Wonderful. Viewers, Marjorie is packed with information. We just want to take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, she will tell us about her current experiences, fast forward, with COVID-19. Thank you. Stay tuned. Hello viewers, welcome back. So we had a short break, we are back, and Marjorie is going to tell us about her experiences with COVID-19. As you know, we are on the second wave, so we are having to wear these masks again. sanitize, wash our hands, keep the distance, and I'm sure we're keeping a good distance. So Marjorie, what's your experience with COVID-19?
I have an experience really because I still work as a nurse,
Yes.
but I'm working in the nursing home. I'm a staff nurse in the nursing home, so I have an experience in the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes.
You know, when we didn't have anything yet, we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So of course that was really hard for each one of us because, as I say, we did not know what was going on. So residents were dying, you know, and we thought it was only end of life. But it wasn't.
Wow.
It was the cause of the pandemic. So
Yeah.
so it was hard. It was quite difficult. It was quite scary as well for the staff as well, because the staff also became positive because we did not know what was going on, and I think that was the big issue. So with regards to the experience that I had, you know, along the way, you know, because policies and then the rules came, all these things that the visitors are not allowed. It was quite challenging, really, because, as you know, in the nursing home, some of the residents, maybe they only have one child. You know, I remember I was looking after, you know, an end of life, but I think he had COVID.
Yes.
And he only had one daughter, and they couldn't even visit. They saw him get, you know, because he was unwell when he came to us.
Yes.
And then he picked up, and he was eating, he was drinking, and all of a sudden the signs and symptoms of COVID, that, you know, tiredness and not being able to eat, and he was like that, and we knew he was COVID, but couldn't do anything because it was too late.
Wow.
You know, because he's vulnerable. So, but the daughter couldn't. So basically, as a nurse, you have to really make that decision, because that daughter will not be able to see the dad ever again. So when do you ask them to come? Is it when they're already dead, or when they're still breathing?
Dilemma.
That is my dilemma. But I have to make that decision, and I have to stand up and I say, you know what? I can ask you to come because he's still breathing. You can still talk to them or whatever you wanted to do.
Yes.
So that's what I did. And they were so grateful because he was still alive. You know, still alive when they came. And then they came at 11, and by nighttime he's died.
Wow.
So I think as nurses, we have to make that decision. When? Because you're the one that
Yes.
you're the one that looking after all the residents, looking at, speaking to the relatives. You know how hurt they are because of this. So
that
you
compassionate
have to,
part of you
I
as a
think
nurse.
this is it. You know, you have to. You cannot take that compassion. Because you don't know. Because I always say, well, they're not gonna be seeing the dad ever again.
No.
Ever. So then what you're doing is just stopping that opportunity for them to even just to say goodbye. You know, and that's what happened. And also on a personal level, my sister died in August.
Wow.
It's the same thing, but we have to stick. And because they were saying, you know, we have to, because this is back home. And I said, we have to stick on, you know, because you talk about money. You know, back home, talk about money.
Yes.
And over here is good because we don't have to pay for medical and everything. But back home, you have to daily basis.
Everything.
So we have to make the decision. Does she need to be going to the charity or a private room? We have to put aside the money.
Yeah.
Because if she goes to charity, nobody can visit. If they are on a private room, my nephew, because we couldn't go home. So this is on my personal. You know, we couldn't go home to even see what's going on.
I'm so sorry
When
to
she
hear
died,
about your
we
sister's
couldn't see.
passing.
I tell you, it's just so all of these things is only God's grace that keeps us going. And I think one of the things that we are, you know, all of these things, even in the nursing home I'm working, I just keep on praying because, you know, you don't know who is positive, right?
Yeah.
And I thank God that we are now being tested every week or every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we now need to be, before there was nothing like that. So you have to be, you know, and I think one of the things that I recognize is educating carers and nurses on how to use PPE, you know, how to, because I remember I'm working in infectious diseases, universal precautions has always been practice.
Yeah.
What it means is that you treat everybody as infectious.
Yes.
Until you know that's been
Wow.
tested.
Wow.
But here we don't we don't talk about universal precautions anymore.
No.
I don't think student nurses knows about the universal precautions.
No.
So this is why, because working in infectious diseases, that's why we don't have cross-contamination, because we follow universal precautions.
Yes. Wow.
So we have to treat everybody, you know, because it was HIV before.
Yes. And
So we
TB,
have to treat everybody as if there are infections.
Yes.
Because we are in infectious diseases, so we have to treat everybody. So we need to make sure that PPE and. But now they don't even know.
No.
I remember when, you know, I had to challenge that, you know, the gown, you know, they were just putting, once they've worn it, they put it on the nurse's station.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So there's a lot of dilemma and a lot of, and I think part of it is educating. Educating carers. And I believe, and I already passed that to my manager and said, you know, we need to educate people.
So you've really dealt with it on a professional level and on a personal level.
But you have to be strong.
Yes.
And my sister, who is in America, we have to be strong. They said, no, you cannot transfer her. She died in a private room, and which is good.
Did she die of COVID then?
No. She died of everything. And maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Because she had liver failure, you know. She had liver failure and kidney failure.
Yeah. Wow, that must have been hard.
Because we couldn't go home.
Thank you for sharing.
We couldn't go home, just like what the nursing home. Wow. You know, the relatives, they couldn't go and visit. It's the same thing with me.
Wow.
Yeah, all of us just Zoom. But you know what is amazing is that everybody got a message of forgiveness, of love, and money. Because you know, we know that, don't you? You know, when somebody's dying, the last sense that is disappearing is the fear of it.
Yes.
And we send a lot of messages through recorded messages for her to listen. And you know, she died peacefully. She was smiling. Yes. And even though the dream that my sister is dreaming, she's, you know, amazing. She's with the Lord. She accepted God during the time. Wow.
You're a strong woman.
Amazing.
Thank you, viewers. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Marjorie is going to tell us about what she is currently doing. She's doing a lot of amazing things. So please stay tuned. Thank you.